Hello? Oh, yeah. I like that. Oh, yeah, I'm live. Anyhow, you guys maybe can like pass it around because we'll open up conversation. So anyhow, my name is Irina Litchfield, and me and Matt McKibben, he's not here today. He's traveling, so he'll be here in February, I believe. We worked together with BitAngels Network to open a Texas chapter here, and BitAngels is the oldest crypto investors organization in the space. So projects like Ethereum were funded originally through this organization. It started here in Austin, so in 2013, Michael Turpin and David Johnston, who is local Austinite, they started the network. And that was in about the same time when Justin and I also kind of got in the space. So a group of people going back to 2013 that was really kind of concentrating on not just saying Bitcoin, everything Bitcoin, but saying how do we build the infrastructure, or how do we fund other projects, because that's very, very important, right? So we wanted to kind of see the expansion of technology, and so that's where it started. During crypto winter, BitAngels kind of there was less investments happening, right? Because it was just a group of people that said, okay, well, I have crypto, I have Bitcoin, I'll support Ethereum, and they just kind of work that way. And now for, I believe that this is 1 year that it's been back, and it's a global network. We have number of chapters everywhere. We believe that we want to make sure that we empower projects and people that are in a space to come in and have access to the network. So it's a free network for projects to come and basically pitch, and we show the pitch to our global investors, and in US to accredited investors, of course. And then we invite those projects can actually for free go into different cities and present one time in each city. So they kind of can go in a free roadshow, if you would, to have access to local community. And then of course we have our global event, and we have quarterly kind of events all over the world where the projects are invited to come and pitch to, let's say, accredited investors only, right? So, and overall, as a network, we believe in thought leadership. We want to make sure that during crypto winter or during bull run, you have a foundation to come to. So if you have an idea, you want to come and pitch here. If you're working with a company, come. If you're just wanting to learn, this is the place for you to be. And so Matt and I have been traveling separately around the world, speaking about crypto adoption. I'm kind of innovation. Matt is more of a decentralized, so he's everything decentralized. I think about the infrastructure and regulatory infrastructure, as we talked about many times. So we kind of bring a very well-rounded approach to what happens in the crypto space, and that's why a year ago, when Michael approached us about bringing back to chapter here, we said yes, we want to do it because we want to see local growth. We really believe that our technology here is beautiful. We have amazing fintech community here, and we want for the world to come here. So our vision for BitAngelsTexas is for people from other countries come and join our chapter and come and pitch here, and then come and visit and just come to Austin. So we don't have to travel so much. That's the truth. So anyhow, today's topic is going to be, is 2020 a bull run? And so, there are a lot of discussions about what happens in the space. To me, crypto economy so far is pegged to Bitcoin, okay? And certainly if we look at the micro analysis, sometimes Bitcoin is down, but something is up. But overall, to me, it's still all pegged to the performance of Bitcoin. And so when I think about performance of Bitcoin, on the longer run, I think of what really the system is. And to me, it's really a well-designed incentive system, right? Every certain amount of years, what happens is that halvening happens, right? And for those of you who do not know what halvening is, it is basically the price for the miners, right? So you get less, you get twice less rewards for the same mining, right? And it's natural inflation mechanism. So to me, that is really the foundation, right? We have a sensitive period of time when we were witnessing a global collapse. Global economy was just melting, with great incentive program for cryptocurrency, because we've had cryptocurrencies before, right? Cryptography been around for quite a bit, and we've attempted. But the Bitcoin's beauty is that it was right in the right place and the right time, and it was incentivized just the right way. And we're finally getting to a point to where it's distributed, and then of course we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and for the most part, all that money is buried somewhere, right? So some people might come in and say, you know, they're Satoshi Nakamoto, which they're not. And then, yeah, so anyhow, got sidetracked there. You are not Satoshi Nakamoto. So anyhow, so with that, what we look at is analysis of the performance. And we can track the halvening. So halvening happens after a certain period of time. And every single time after halvening happens, about 6 months later, we see growth cycle that happens very, very fast. And so halvening is happening this May. And for the most part, the hypothesis is that toward the end of the year, we're going to experience bull run. So that's just an incentives model, right? But that comes to Bitcoin only. So how can we take that knowledge and apply it to other blockchains or to other companies that are going to be implementing blockchain to their traditional business or create solution for their whatever traditionally they are doing? And so I think that what we have to remember is most important is that during that growth period, people turn toward Bitcoin because they see that the Bitcoin price is rising. So they now start hearing crypto, they think crypto is everything. And so they just really open up. The investors open up to ideas of building, of using the technology to implement to traditional businesses because they see Bitcoin is growing, because it's just kind of like a participation and openness to the concept, right? So after each halvening, we see that opening up more and more and more. And so my point for you guys today would be to think about what can you do? How can you take action in your own hands and say, okay, if I looked at the perfect design right now, and if I said, okay, I want to serve the wave, right? So you have a growth cycle coming, and I want to serve on that wave. And you have to remember the wave will come back down, right? So it's just perfect timing. What can I do? And I think that the thing that you can do is start opening up yourself, not just to the idea of buying cryptocurrency, but seeing what is that interesting thing that you could get involved with, maybe a project, or maybe just applying a layer of cryptography into your existing business. I don't know what it is, right? Maybe thinking about how blockchain can improve your business idea, right, that you've been working on, or in broker license, right? Like what, for your career, what can you do that's interesting? Because what we've observed before is that after halvening, if you already have a project in mind, if you have an idea in mind, people will start saying, oh, I want to hear it. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. As long as you have a concept by May, in a way to where, okay, well, if this was this, and if I had like a budget to be able to do this, and if I had an expert to be able to help me with this application, I totally want to do it. I just don't know how to go and get the expert. I don't know how to get the money. I don't know who to talk to. If you have that if dream to the side of you and you don't know how yet, that's okay. Just get that done and ready by May, because you will see that naturally people will start opening up. You'll see that this will all get full, and next year we're going to be very, very excited and full, and a lot of projects will be showing up here, and a lot of people will be talking about it, thought leadership and their projects and all kinds of great things. But for you to be that person sitting there right now thinking, okay, how can I participate in that growth? I think that the best way is actually to implement. Because by nature, then you will be exposed to other things. And that's how you can also evolve your traditional company and become more competitive, right? Because during the bull run, what we saw, let's say that ICOs, people like ICO, shit token, shill this, all these bad words and things, these are just tendency, guys. What we saw during ICO is that there was a lot of interest from global investors to be able to invest in all these companies, because through the smart contract, through the methods of communication, actually that became possible. And on the run of the Bitcoin and crypto industry, it just kind of opens up those opportunities for you. If we think about crypto winter of 15, right? It was tough. It was tough. With people that wiped out, like the wipeout that happened during that time basically made the whole industry go nocturnal for the most part. But some survived, some stayed, some developed. Ethereum did, a couple other, people, Factum was going. Some people buckled in, they kept working, they kept being there. And then as the bull run started happening, right, as the January 17 started, about January 17, we started seeing this project and that project and that project. And I think that the most important thing that we saw is that they got funds. And they got funds from all over the world, because people want to have access to your deals. You're no longer isolated here in Austin to your Texas investors. And you don't have to pray for God anymore to go to Silicon Valley and bow to them, even though there is still very important and powerful VCs there, right? We all of a sudden had access to global funding, and a lot of those companies, they stayed. And they're all around now. Besides the fact what people say that all this collapse, it's all a scam. No, sure, there were a lot of scams. But next time that we're going to see crypto winter, we're going to see even more projects that made it. And my hypothesis is that during next crypto winter, I think we should start actually see a real application of blockchain, and I think some companies will be thriving during it. And so I encourage you guys now to have an idea. Think of what other way you can get in other than buying crypto. See what it is. And once you have an idea, just let it be there. We have 5 months before halving. That's a long time. Come back in February. If you have an idea, talk to each other. Talk to me, talk to Matt. We know a lot of people. There could be somebody, we might be able to help you, or we might just be able to connect you to somebody who is the right person for you to talk. If you need a co-founder, if you need whatever you need, we are here. Our network is here for you. And I want you to be active, and I would love for our Austin, for Texas really, come really strong. Like how amazing it would be if we saw many young companies come up and go and have distributed networks all over the world with their headquarters here. So that's a magic. I want that. I really want it. So I think with that, I'm finished with kind of my proposition of whether I think it's going to be bull run or not. and what you can do. And I would really love for you to participate in this discussion as well. Would anybody like to?
I have a pretty loud voice. I don't know.
Just pass it around.
So my take on the halving, I have a fairly significant background in financial markets, and the halving, when miners get rewards, they sell a lot of them because most of their operating expenses are in fiat currency. So right now you get a reward every 10 minutes, and it's X number of coins, and X number of percentage of that, probably 50% or greater, is sold on the market. In May, when they have this, the number of coins that will be sold on the market will be cut in half. And so from a supply and demand perspective, I think the halving, what ends up happening is that you don't have as great of natural selling every 10 minutes, or at least someone is in a position to sell every 10 minutes, and therefore it creates scarcity. The other thing that people, I think, miss in this whole concept is that digital currency is no different in many respects than fiat currency, in that it's an ownership of something that nobody knows, and your bank account is an ownership of something that nobody knows. And it's a digital asset in that how much cash do you ever carry around in your wallet anymore? No one carries any cash around anymore. It's all digital currency in some environment. The difference is that cryptocurrencies, the vast majority of them, have a limited supply, and there's a scarcity involved. Therefore, when we look at the world and we look at the continuing printing of fiat currency for governments and countries to run deficit budgets, it makes an extremely strong argument that other assets are likely to increase in value because there's more fiat assets chasing fewer of the other assets, regardless of whether it's real estate, precious metals, cryptocurrencies, cattle, soybeans. It doesn't really make any difference. This is likely to lead to inflation. And it will be inflation in terms of the value of cryptos. The ones that will perform the best will be things that have a viable business model. But overall, I think that's where you're going to find that having will also lead to a significant appreciation simply because there's less natural selling every day from the miners.
Yes.
That goes to an issue about fiat currency. One of the values of fiat currency is the velocity of money. We didn't use gold as a basis because we didn't have enough gold. We couldn't make enough coins for everybody to have coins to be able to trade with. If we're going to run short on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin's going to increase in value, it would seem it would create difficulty in making trades.
Well, the fact that you can split it down to 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin,
so digital fractionality.
The decimalizing of it, I think, is one of the factors that would be what encourages and allows that type of trading. So if a perfect example, one of the first transactions in Bitcoin, commercial transaction, was a guy bought a pizza in Florida for 17,000 Bitcoin or something like that, back in 2012 or 10 or whatever. Now, today, you go buy a pizza from a pizza shop that would accept Bitcoin, and it's going to be, a thousandth of a Bitcoin, 10,000ths of a Bitcoin. So I think that whether or not it's actually the velocity of money, my problem with fiat currencies, and I'm not an economist, I'm basically, I come from a background of trading and financial markets, but my problem is that governments have no discipline in this world of trying to balance their budget. And if any of the rest of us ran our households the way that they run governments, we would all be bankrupt. And until they come to a realization and admit that and then do something about it, you can only do so much. You can't just when you look at the situations in the world where they've just printed money relentlessly, it's destroyed their countries. And we're on the verge of doing that on a global scale at this point. So where are people going to find any faith in what assets they hold. Physical assets, yeah, and then limited supply digital assets are the next logical choice.
So I've been testing the Lightning Network over the last few weeks, and I've been doing freelance writing work across the pond over to London. And I can testify that the velocity of money with Bitcoin, especially on the Lightning Network, is exponentially faster. To get a $145 payment from London because there was a New Year's holiday, it took 7 days and cost me $5.96 to receive a $145 payment. I've installed 3 Lightning wallets on 3 separate phones. I was able to send 1,000 Satoshi, that's approximately 1 penny, from one phone to the other to the other. It took 30 seconds to send 1 penny 3 times, and it didn't even cost 1,000th of a penny to do so. It's way faster, and the technology is now making it so much easier to actually use that even without understanding any of it, I was able to make it work.
Yeah, but those are micropayments too, right? Because Lightning sends micropayments.
You could do that with, I mean, you could do it across borders, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, it wouldn't matter where anyone in the world is. One of the issues my friend that runs a coffee shop has is if he takes a credit card payment for a $5 cup of coffee, he's paying a 30-cent flat rate plus his 2 to 3% percentage fee that eats up as much as his entire profit on his coffee. So it's like he wants to sell $50 at a time in prepaid credit because it's not worth it to him to accept a credit card payment for $5.
Then he could accept a $50 credit card payment.
And he'd still pay the flat rate 30 cents, and then,
30.
yeah. So it ends up a better percentage for his business than, like right now, it doesn't work for him at all. He ends up paying, the banks make as much on running a credit card payment that he doesn't even get it in his account for 3 days because they act like business doesn't happen on the weekends. And so he won't even get it for 3 days, and they'll make as much as he does, and all they did is type in a few numbers in a computer.
When I spoke to velocity of money, I wasn't really addressing how quickly you can change it,
I understand.
but how much you've got out there. I probably helped over 700 people file lawsuits in this foreclosure debacle over the last few years. But underneath that, you had these fractional accounts that all the banks had. They could go to the Federal Reserve, and if they had $10 in the Federal Reserve account, they could pull 100 and use that to purchase property with to sell to the buyer. And then when the buyer paid that money back, they took that 90% and gave it back to the Federal Reserve. So they created it out of the thin air. When it was paid back, it went back to the thin air it came from. And that was so that there would be enough money around without increasing the volume of money. But Bitcoin, your answer was absolutely elegant. With dollars and cents, I can't break those down very easily. But with Bitcoin, when the value of the world around the Bitcoin changes, you can break the Bitcoin up elegantly into smaller pieces, and you don't have that problem. So your answer was perfect.
There is a reason that right now so many people are hesitant. Like the velocity of money, as you're referencing it, is low right now because everyone's holding it and expecting it to go higher. So no one wants to spend it. Gresham's law is applying. They're holding on to good hard currency. Part of why they're doing that is because they're expecting it to be worth so much later. They're afraid of missing out on their capital gains. What I've discovered is possible, first with BitMEX that offers 100-to-1 leverage. And I first started playing with it, not even caring how it worked. But I realized that part of how that system works is the people that have $1 million worth of Bitcoin don't want to deal with a $100,000 loss when Bitcoin changes in 10%, like it does 24 hours a lot of times. So they hedge by short selling their position and only have to put down a couple of percent to maintain that short position any losses of dollar value on their Bitcoin and their holdings are offset with additional Bitcoin earned. So what I realized is we could do the same thing for ourselves. So we can sell the Bitcoin that we're holding for long term, replace it with a paper position at say 50 to 1 or 20 to 1 leverage, and then let that real estate that we cashed out to buy generate some revenue, and then buy back our Bitcoin and decrease our short position. And all of this can be done in seconds. Like a part of what really opened my eyes to what's so different with Bitcoin and crypto was that when I started trying to trade futures and commodities, and I burned through 10 grand twice trying to get into learning how to actually play the markets. First account I opened, and this was probably 2008, 2009, it took me 2 weeks to get, it took me 14 pages of paperwork and 7 days to get my brokerage account opened, and then another 7 days for the $10,000 to clear. Meantime, I was watching wheat price skyrocket, and I missed out on thousands of dollars. When I opened up a leveraged account with Bitcoin, I didn't have to give them any ID. It took 15 minutes for my coin to be in there, and I was able to jump on the markets almost immediately. That's part of why the exchanges right now are starting to do like Bittrex and River Financial and integrate Lightning payments, because when you're sending money to refund your margin account, you can't wait an hour because the markets are moving. So they're wanting to be able to instantly send another 50 grand in there so they can increase their margin and not have to wait for 6 block confirmations. So that's changing the whole ball game entirely.
I think also one more thing that would be really good to mention right now too would be kind of a idea of a lot of people carrying something mental with them, and that is, I'm too late, and I wish that, like, it all sounds great, but I wish, like, I would have done all these things if I only got in earlier. And it is something that we see happen time after time after time consistently. And so I think that a good thing too that you can do for yourself now is say, well, if you don't have any Bitcoin, just go and buy $50 of Bitcoin on Coinbase so you can kind of see how it works. You know, maybe send some money to your children, or, you know, be cool, because then, like, oh, here's the address for your Bitcoin, $10, you know, some kind of seeing how it works, how does the infrastructure work without risking, without all these investments, but just get in, because you get in at the time when you actually do that, when you purchase your first cryptocurrency, and everybody learns on their own way, and that's how you become a participant, right? Because a lot of people think it's too small for me, it's too late, it's this and that, but in reality of ways, you know, it's all the same things I hear year after year after year after year, but at some point people get in. So those, let's say, that went and participated in 2013, they might not hold Bitcoin anymore. I don't. I wish I did, but crypto winters wiped me pretty well. But I have a lot of experience now, right? So that way I can get hired for doing work. I can speak about this. I'm in the industry, so maybe as a Bitcoin I had to sell to do something like you were saying. It's totally fine because I am in the industry, but it has to be done at certain point, and there's no too small of a thing. You don't need to convert your percentages of your whatever portfolios. Just go buy some Bitcoin, $50. Like, just instead of dinner. And you have a spouse or child, get them like a $25 little gift certificate. Be like, hey, happy Havaning year, you know. And if, of course, we don't know. That's the thing, is that these are all hypotheses, right? So we can look at the Havaning before, and we can see clearly that about 6 months later we have a really strong bull run, and we see these tendencies, but it hasn't happened 100 times. So we can't really draw the data. This time could be different. This time maybe it will not be the same pattern that it was before, and that would be totally normal. And a lot of people That's kind of their argument. Well, it's just because it repeated a couple times, it's not going to happen because statistically, blah, 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 blah. So which is fine. But think about it. There are stories of people that are like, oh yeah, I spent $25 I bought 25 bucks Bitcoin and now I have, several grand sitting around. Or I found that you can give that gift to your maybe grandchildren just because that way you are participating, right? And maybe it's this bull run, maybe next bull run. It can become very interesting. I know a lot of people that found Bitcoin during like a big time, and they, because it was a fractionality somebody gave them that didn't really matter much, but many years later when the news finally got to them, they're like, oh my God, I think I have the address somewhere, go get it. And then it's a nice thing, and then again they learn about it. I think another thing that we have to think about when we think about Bitcoin and inflation too is that people consistently lose their addresses, right? They lose their keys all the time. And so the thing about it is that you lose your key, it's gone. Nobody can go and make you up another key. It's dead, it's gone. And so because we have scarcity, and there's percentage of losses of people that are losing the key too, we now kind of have this storage, natural, even more pushed inflation to where it becomes more rare, right? Because even if it's bleeding fractionally into the dead, because it's just gone. You will not. It's gone. Of course, unless quantum computing, somebody is going to build the world's most expensive quantum computer to build, to break the code, but that's not enough money. It's because it just doesn't work, okay? Like quantum is not a threat. So with that, I think that's also an interesting thing to do because, it allows people to have exposure. If you have grandchildren, if you have, like I said, you have kids, it could be like that $50 thing could pay for their house 25 years from now, just because you lock it up, put it in your safety deposit box like you were talking about, and forget about it. Just forget about it. That's all.
If you don't mind, I'd like to change the subject slightly. He always does that.
Will you come over here because
okay.
you're recording and people
Okay.
are watching,
Oh.
and then make sure you speak in the microphone because that way they can receive
Yeah.
the audio.
Okay. I looked into Bitcoin originally because I was building an extremely large project, and it's a 10-year project, and I was looking at 10 million to get it financed, and it was 2017, perfect timing. And about the time I got 6 or 8 months into investigating everything, it crashed. But in going to seminars and conventions around the country, there's something that stood out. It stood out to me because the area I work in is legal. That when I would speak to someone about the SEC, everybody wanted to be somewhere else. I was in Toronto, and one of the co-developers of Ethereum gave this keynote presentation and took questions afterward. And when I got to him, I told him, I'm an older guy, I've been around a long time, and I've had my own business, and I've got these red flags. When I go for an account, if I get any 2 of 3 red flags, I'm out of here. So when you look at a crypto project, what are your red flags? How do you analyze a crypto project? And he talked for about 10 minutes and scurried off the stage. And the guy next to me leaned over and said, he didn't have a clue as to how to answer that. I said, you notice that? Every group of investors, Chicago, Atlanta, everywhere I went, when they had a group of investors, I asked them this question. In Chicago, a group of investors from China, one of them said he represented the largest manufacturing company in China. He didn't say what it was, but I think we know what that is now. When I asked that question, one guy had an answer. He was from Los Angeles. He said, "Oh, that's easy. Too many pictures on the website." That was it.
Well, the people have due diligence and funds have due diligence in the questionnaire and evaluations. It's already, it's been around. Sure, the industry is just growing and we can improve our due diligences, but there are evaluation methods for sure.
I wouldn't have asked that question if I didn't have a solution.
Yeah. Well, and
Okay.
I think also when we talk to maybe thought leaders, just because maybe Ethereum developer might not know, you probably want to talk to funds about that. And also remember too is that there's a big problem in the world of funds. They really don't want to share their own knowledge, and so people have their own due diligences, they have their own methodology that they, and a lot of it is hypothesis, because how do you know what is the valuation of your distributed community all over the world? Let's say you have, 120,000 people actively participating on your Telegram or whatever, WeChat. What does that mean? How do we measure it? We don't know. We don't have that. These are all new metrics.
Got something, and it's already been out there. When I tried to talk to somebody about the SEC, they wanted to be somewhere else. Have any of you ever looked at the SEC codes? How'd you like it? Okay. The business that I'm developing, I take the law, take the codes, and convert them into questionnaires. Well, I looked at the SEC code. It is absolutely the most complex, convoluted pile of crap I have ever seen in my life. If you read the Singaporean code, you read the Swiss code, an 8th grader can read that code and make sense of it. Crowdfunding, Regulation A, Regulation D. I've broken those all down into questionnaires.
And for SEC as well? You
Pardon?
have that for SEC as well?
I can't hear that.
You have that for SEC as well?
Yeah, SEC-comply.com. It's all
Okay.
online free. I built that as a proof of concept for another project. But I took the first paragraph of each of those three. First paragraph, first sentence, first half of first sentence, asks if you're in compliance with this other code. So I go to the other code and go halfway through it and then ask if you're in compliance with this other code. I'm 100 questions in before I get through the first half of the first sentence. Everywhere I go and talk about SEC, everybody's terrified of it. Well,
Rightfully so.
I want to offer this to everybody. I built the questionnaire just as a proof of concept. The overall project for lawyers is massive. We have 1.5 million questions in the project now, and we're about a third of the way in. But SEC, that was a smaller project, so I built the whole thing. We've got Regulation A, Regulation D, and crowdfunding. If you have a project, you just go to sec-comply.com and it'll start asking you questions. You don't have to know anything. Just answer the questions that are pertinent to you, and when you're done, it will spit out an audit. Now, just so you know, I'm not selling anything here.
You can. It's okay.
If you guys use
Selling
it,
is a good thing.
yeah, then that just proves my project works. But when you're finished, it will spit you out an audit. Where my question says, you must provide this notice. The statute says you must provide this notice. My question says, did you provide this notice? And then I have a yes/no answer. If you answer yes, it puts the developer provided this notice. If you say no, developer did not provide this notice, it'll do that in red. If it's something you have to address. So when you're finished, you got this output document. Everything in red, you have to address. Excuse my voice, this Austin is killing me.
It's called cedar fever.
It'll give you this,
Yeah.
give you this output document. When you don't have any red places on it, you prepare your Form D, you take this output document and you sign it before a notary, and you send it in with Form D. Law. I do a radio show on legal reform, and I show people how to beat up public officials.
Oh, goodness.
The manual for the regulators, before they can issue a matter under investigation, they must evaluate the issue and determine if they can collect enough in fines to cover their cost of the investigation.
So
When
if
you
you don't
drop
have
that
enough,
affidavit on them, you just raise the bar big time. An affidavit must be accepted as true, not as prima facie, but true. So now the regulator has your affirmation of due diligence that you have addressed every issue in their code. If he wants to issue a matter under investigation, he has to disprove one of your statements. And they won't even bother because of the cost. But more than that, if you're an investor and you're looking to invest in a crypto project, the SEC is not the bad guy. If you follow the prescription for the SEC, regulation, I think it's SD, it will tell you exactly how to set up your business. I'm an engineer. I don't know diddly squat about business. But when I looked through SK, it required that I do certain things. It required that I make certain inquiry into every member of my team. I didn't know to do that.
yeah, that's great.
It will tell you how to set up a good business. And then if you're an investor and someone gives you this
I'm not an investor, full disclosure.
gives you this analysis.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. You may not have all of the answers, but at least you can be relatively certain that this developer has exercised due diligence in meeting all the requirements of the SEC, and you don't have to worry about what happened to Munchie. Munchie went to the lawyers, paid them their money, started their sale. 2 days later, the SEC come in and shut them down.
Yeah. Well,
But there's one more thing.
okay, let's do that and finish up on that.
One more thing. Look this
Yeah.
up. President Trump, in October 9th, signed 2 executive orders. 13891, 13892. He just stuck it up the SEC and broke it off at them. They can no longer come and make a claim against you unless they have already told you beforehand they would do that. I've heard no fanfare about that. Everybody
That sounds
should do
good
that
to
one.
me.
Pardon
No?
me?
Isn't that a good rule?
That is an incredible rule. The SEC, I was in Chicago, and the guy was the head of a
Wait, so
vending
you,
machine,
in order to get me, not me, in order for them to get somebody, they have to give them the notice first that they're gonna come and get them.
Yes.
Right. Okay, that sounds fair.
Yeah,
There's no like, hey, I dropped in, by the way, right there,
the SEC
unannounced.
has been enforcing ex post facto law. We fought a revolution over that. The king would come in and say, "Well, you got this great business over here."
Let's talk about it of the because we can all hang out.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Why are you sorry?
No,
Don't be sorry. Yeah. Because we can all hang out right now. Yeah.
excited about this because it'll benefit everybody else.
So I'm very excited about that, and I really appreciate that you shared with us. What I would like for you to, you're on our meetup, right?
Yes.
Yes. If you could post the link there, I would really appreciate it because I also would like to share on social media about it, and it would be really lovely. It sounds like a really great thing to do. And you're right. We live in an outdated world, and a lot of these things can be automated. And how wonderful would it be for people not to be scared of SEC and say, I don't want to come here because I don't know, but actually go through questions and then say, oh, you need this, 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 and this. And maybe it can allow them to save money, a lot of money on the legal fees and advice.
Lawyers won't like it.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, the world is going to change. Old systems, we finally have technology to deal with a lot of things. And I think we're never going to. We need lawyers, we need doctors, we need teachers, we need all these professions. But their jobs are just not going to be the way they know them right now. And I trust that they're going to love their lives better. I trust that they will love the new opportunities and kind of new challenges. You know, it's the banking system is a rotten place to work in. If you're building a bank, it's nuts. Like just the stuff, the integrating infrastructure, it doesn't work, right? Because the people that wrote original code are dead. The code is dead. You have to deal with like dinosaurs and the bones are rotting, and it's just all, it's not all evil and bad. It's just outdated. And now we have technology, but we need to prove it. That's why I think that after this growth cycle, we'll see a lot of interesting things happening, because this is the first time when we actually, during winter, crypto winter, we have observed releases of news of big institutions coming in and implementing the technology. It's not just, you know, we have a bull run, everybody crypto, Bitcoin, and then boom, everybody goes away. We actually, I mean, this year has been very productive. There's been a lot of conferences, there's been a lot of news, there's a lot of money invested from big organizations to see how they can do it. It's true, it's like we can touch it, we can see it, it's almost there, but there's not like it works. But when it does, it will work, and it will change the way we do things. And I think it's going to bring more opportunities for everybody. There's plenty. Lawyers, I think when I think of lawyers, I don't think they want to sit and do the boring paperwork all day long. Like, they just don't. How wonderful would it be for them to do what they really do, to where they actually use that in mind? Because in the end of the day, like an attorney, they have beautiful minds. If those that do well, right, they really thrive in the environment, and we have plenty for everybody, and it's great. And with technology we can provide prosperity, and so I think that's the thing to concentrate on. And that's a wonderful thing that you're doing, open source, like you are building right now your education system, and you giving it for free to people, because that creates more opportunities for them. Through that, it creates more opportunities for you, and then we just kind of have a better understanding. I really appreciated your presentation. It was really great presentation, and it was very thorough. And you know, on how to manage your assets, your crypto assets, is very, very important. And a lot of people number of people showed up, right? And they listened, and I think that's what we have to do. And again, there's plenty for all of us. Well, I think that if you guys will finish for now the stage talk, so that way we can all talk to each other, because I really love the dynamic conversations within each other. And so we'll be here next month. We're here every first Monday of the month. We'll have some snacks and food and stuff, and you know, we'll be here with you, making sure that we kind of keep pushing the same thing we talked today about more, you know, just kind of more in depth. Me and Matt, we travel a lot, so usually we come back and report on what's happening in the world, you know, and what people are thinking and everything. So, but it will be a fun and exciting year, and I encourage you to be excited about the crypto. So, thank you, guys.